So last year, the Detroit Pistons were one of the worst teams in the NBA, finishing with a 20-52 record, and that was good for last in the Eastern Conference, and all of that losing, it was super painful for Pistons fans to watch, but it did result in them landing the #1 overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft, and they used that on Oklahoma State's Cade Cunningham. And I have to say, after that pick, I really do think that next year, the Detroit Pistons can shock a lot of people, and they can be much better than most people think. And that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Before we get started, I do want to say, make sure you guys go ahead and check out my podcast. The link to it is in the description below, and I really do want to try and grow that thing, so it would really mean a lot to me if you guys can go ahead and check it out. And if you guys enjoyed that podcast, make sure to subscribe over there. But yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about Detroit. Now, the first player I do want to go over is Killian Hayes, and Killian Hayes, his rookie season was not exactly very good, and a lot of people were pretty underwhelmed with how he played, and a lot of people I really do feel like have forgot that he even existed. And with Detroit selecting Cade Cunningham, who we will be talking about soon enough, many people have already started to write off Killian Hayes, but I don't think us NBA fans should do that, and I don't think Detroit Pistons fans should do that either. Now, Killian Hayes, first off, this man was a project player coming into the NBA, so he probably was going to take some time to get used to the league, and I mean, it's not super surprising that he did struggle, out of the gate, and his rookie season wasn't the best when you consider that he was a project player, as I said before. And along with that, Killian Hayes did deal with a lot of injuries in his rookie year, and injuries, they will hinder pretty much anybody by at least a little bit, so injuries were also a big factor. And along with that, Detroit did not exactly develop him in a very good way, and kind of just tossed him out to the Wolves at, not a very good time. And because of that, his confidence kind of just, was broken, and confidence, it is key in basketball, and if you're not a very confident player, it can really hurt how you play on the court. So Killian Hayes struggling in his rookie year, I'll admit, is, not the most shocking thing in the world to me. Now, that doesn't really change the fact that he played pretty poorly in his rookie year, but still, Killian Hayes, he's a very young player, and Detroit Pistons fans, they got to give him some time, and they need to be patient with him, because Killian Hayes, he's still a very young player, and he still has the potential to be a very good player in the future, and he can be a nice backcourt buddy next to Cade Cunningham. And hey, you know what I'm gonna say with these young guys, alright? If you guys have followed my channel for a while, you know how I am with them. I'm gonna say, oh, we need to give him a chance, and I say that because it's true. Killian Hayes, he had one bad rookie season, but I don't think we should give up on him simply because he had a bad rookie season, because there's a lot of players out there who do have bad rookie years, but they end up improving, after that bad rookie year, and they develop into good players. And Killian Hayes, he can definitely still develop into a good player, and I do hope Detroit does give him, they are patient with him, and they do give him the chance, to prove himself and, develop into a good player. And hey, if he did show, he did have some positives too, like his playmaking was good, and same thing with his defense. And hey, if he can build on those strengths and improve on his weaknesses, Killian Hayes, he can be a very big player, and I really do hope that next year he can improve a lot, and he really just proves the doubters wrong. But kind of all I have to say for Killian Hayes. But let's talk about Sadiq Bey now. And Sadiq Bey, he had a really good rookie season. He was by far the best three-point shooting rookie of the 2021 NBA season. I mean, he was shooting nearly 10 triples a game, and he hit them at a rate just south of 40%, and his ability to shoot the ball is just going to make him a very valuable contributor on a lot of NBA teams. In this case, it's going to be the Detroit Pistons, at least for now. However, while Sadiq Bey is a great shooter, and he was pretty good in his rookie year, he definitely does have, the areas where he does need to improve. I mean, for one, his defense, it's not the worst in the world, but he definitely can grow. He can definitely improve on defense, and along with that, I would like to see him become a much better shot creator who attacks the basket more, and I do want to see him become a much more menacing player, because Sadiq Bey does have a very strong frame, and if he developed a pretty nice, post game, then Sadiq Bey would be a very scary player when considered that he's already a very good shooter. And hey, if he could add, a good post game and became a much better shot creator and attacker, Sadiq Bey would be a super good player. But Sadiq Bey is nonetheless, he's still a very good player, and even if he is pretty much just a spot up shooter for the rest of his career, he's still going to be a very, very, very valuable contributor to any NBA team. Like we saw Duncan Robinson get paid nearly $20 million a year simply because he can shoot the ball very well. So Sadiq Bey, I mean, I think he will be a very good contributor to the Detroit Pistons, and hey, he's still a great player, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do in his sophomore season. But let's now talk about a veteran, and that is Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant right now, I would say, is the best best player on the Pistons. Now, I know everyone's going crazy over Cade Cunningham, but still, as of right now, Jeremy Grant is the best player on the Detroit Pistons. And while he is, obviously a lot older than, a little bit older than most of these young guys, because, he's a veteran, Jeremy Grant is still a very good player. And I gotta say, as a Nuggets fan, I am kind of on the fence of, how much I like this guy. I gotta say, I'm kind of sad and a little bit mad that he did leave us, but hey, Jeremy Grant, he's not a bad guy, and he's a really good player. While I do feel like his 20 points per game are kind of empty stats, and he probably wouldn't average that on a title contending team, Jeremy Grant is still a good player, as I said before, and I cannot take that away from him. I mean, the guy is a really good two-way wing. He's pretty good on offense. He can shoot the ball well. He's pretty decent as a shot creator as well, and he's also really good on defense, so he can act as a top scoring option on this team. But the reason why I think Jeremy Grant can also be a valuable piece is because he can be a good veteran leader for this team. That's where I really see his value coming in, aside, from his ability, be a good shot creator on this Detroit Pistons team. Because when it comes to young teams like the Pistons, you do want a veteran guy who can be a good leader and locker room presence for you and really just help out the young guys, because these are young guys and they're inexperienced, and having a good veteran who, has been in the league for some time and, knows the ins and outs of the league, hey, it's always nice to have, those type of guys on young teams. And pretty much all good young teams do have some good veterans, and Jeremy Grant, he is pretty much that good, veteran to help out the young guys for the Motor City. So Jeremy Grant, still a very valuable piece to this team. And hey, even if he isn't in the long-term plans for Detroit, he's still, he can still be moved, later on and down the line for assets. And hey, his value, it's going to be pretty high when you consider that he did average 20 last year. And if he can keep, kind of keep that up like at a pretty similar rate, hey, his value, it's going to be inflated. And even then, Jeremy Grant is still kind of young. I think he's like 25, 26, something like that. He still is somewhat young player, and Jeremy Grant, he's still a really good player. And hey, Jeremy Grant, I think he's not a bad player at all, but kind of all I have to say for Jeremy Grant. Now let's move on to a fan favorite of the Detroit Pistons, and that is Isaiah Stewart. Now Isaiah Stewart, he was really good last year. He was one of the best, defensive rookies. Like, this guy, if I'm not mistaken, he led all rookies in like blocks per game. This guy was really good last year. Now on offense, he's not anything like super crazy. He's not like some elite shooting big like that. He's not like some big who takes like 12 threes a game and he hits them at like a 50% rate. He is not super crazy in offense, but he's still not any scrub on offense. He's still pretty good on offense, and along with that, he's really good on defense, and that's where his value really comes in as a really good defensive big. And Isaiah Stewart, that's basically the guy he's gonna be. That's basically his role on this team. He's pretty much gonna, on defense, he's gonna be their main anchor, and he's gonna be a really good rim protector for this team. And Isaiah Stewart, really good defensive player, and even then on offense, as I said before, not bad. And hey, with someone like Killian Hayes, who's a really good playmaker, and Cade Cunningham, who we will be getting to in a second, again, he can definitely, get a lot of, opportunities in the post and in the pick and roll as well. Like, he'll be a good pick and roll partner next to these guys, considering the fact that they're both very good playmakers. And hey, that would be a pretty fun pick and roll duo to watch when you consider his athleticism and, their playmaking. But Isaiah Stewart, very good player. And speaking of Cade Cunningham, we finally arrive at the one and only Cade Cunningham. And what can I really say? This man, he is the big reason why I think the Pistons can be a lot better than a lot of people are giving them credit for. Alright, he was the consensus #1 overall pick leading up to this draft for a reason, and he was the #1 overall pick for a reason. Alright, he has all the tools to be an all NBA level player and just be a superstar level player. He's 6'8", he can play the 1, the 2, the 3, and he's a solid all-around player with pretty much no weaknesses in his game. Alright, if he has a really good rookie season, then Detroit can definitely make a run at a play-in spot, or maybe a lower playoff seed. Now, lower playoff seed might be a little bit more of a stretch when you consider it, like the fact that Detroit is still a young team, and they're still getting there. And the Eastern Conference does have some pretty good teams, so I do think lower playoff seed might be a little bit of a stretch. But them making the play-in wouldn't be super surprising to me, because they have a lot of young talent on that team, and I think the young guys are naturally going to get better because they're just gonna naturally, just young players naturally improving, and they'll be a lot more experienced. And Jeremy Grant, he's still a very good player, a near all-star level player in my opinion. And if Cade Cunningham can, be like LaMelo Ball in his rookie year, then the Detroit Pistons will actually be a pretty solid team. I should also mention that they did add guys like Kelly Olynyk in this year's free agency class, and Kelly Olynyk, he was really good for the Houston Rockets in the second half of the season, and if he can keep that up with the Detroit Pistons, pick up right where he was, last year, then hey, that would be really good for this team as like a good pick and pop option, really just another scoring option. So Kelly Olynyk, another good option, and hey, this Detroit Pistons team, it does have some talent, and next year, I definitely think they can definitely be a pretty solid team. I don't think they'll finish last in the Eastern Conference again, and I mean, this team, it's just very solid. I went over the talent already. You got a lot of young talent. Those guys will naturally get better, and you got a veteran in Jeremy Grant, who's a near all-star level player, as I said before, and he is a good veteran leader. So this Pistons team, it's not super bad. Now, even with that being said, I will say, I'm not trying to imply they're going to win the championship next year, because let's be honest here, no matter how big of a Pistons fan you are, there's no denying the Pistons will not win the finals next year. It's just not gonna happen. However, and I will say that, the Eastern Conference, it is loaded, so I don't expect them to make a super deep playoff run, but the Pistons are getting there, and they got a bright future next year. I would not be super surprised if they made the play-in tournament, and if they, possibly snuck into the playoffs. Now, if they did sneak into the playoffs, I'd be kind of shocked, but not as shocked as, some other people may be. But kind of all I have to say for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to me. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, as it really helps out the channel, and also make sure to subscribe if you guys are new and enjoy this type of content, so you don't miss out on any new videos like this. Plus, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and once we hit our goal, I am finally gonna do a face reveal. But with that being said, I'm out, you guys.